I'm Jim Collison, live from the Gallup studios here in Omaha, Nebraska. This is Gallup's Called to Coach, special BP10 edition, recorded on September 13th, 2017. This BP10 edition of Called to Coach is a resource for those Gallup-trained BP10 coaches and educators who want to help others identify and develop their entrepreneurial talents. We have Gallup experts and independent BP10 coaches share tactics, and today it's Todd and insights and strategies to help others maximize the talent of individuals, teams, and organizations around the world. If you have questions during this live webcast, we have a chat room available for you right below the main video window down there. If you just peek down there. To sign in, it's super easy. Log in, bottom left-hand corner of the chat window. Choose the guest account. Put your name in. Take those numbers out. And that way you can answer, or you can ask questions that we will answer live on the program. If you're listening to the recorded version or questions about custom strengths coaching or BP10 training opportunities for you, you can contact us. Send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. or use the contact form right there on the live page. Don't forget to visit the Gallup Strengths Center, just gallupstrengthscenter.com, for all your CliftonStrengths coaching and BP10 resources. They're still out there. In fact, the link to that is down all the way down at the bottom. It says that the link BP10 is at the very bottom at the Gallup Strengths Center. And don't forget, you can also catch the video in both streaming and downloadable audio for offline listening of this program, as well as everything we do. It's available on our coaches blog, coaching.gallup.com. Todd Johnson is our host today. Todd is Gallup's channel leader of entrepreneurship and job creation here at Gallup. And Todd, great to have you back. It has been a while.
It's been a while. I'm half thinking it was last November because I was bearded. Wasn't it No Shave November? I think that's when it is.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk a little bit about this. We launched in the beginning of the year into the BP10 series.
Don't steal my thunder. That's okay.
I'll be quiet. You got some great updates, Todd.
Well, and it's my bad because I traditionally send an email out to, we've got about 200 coaches now, and I didn't do it. So if you're not active on Facebook, you're probably watching the recorded version. So that is on me. My bad. We probably only have a couple hundred people in the chat room.
Well, but we have the famous Micah Libran out there. So.
Oh, wow. Now I wasn't nervous until just now. Oh, no.
She's mobile from the beach.
Oh, Micah, she did such a great job. And again, I've got 10 updates, and they're not in any order. They're in the order that they came out of my brain. I've prepared hour-longs on this presentation. And so I'll just kind of ramble through if that's okay. And at any time, we can stop and take questions, or you can ask questions, or Micah, or is that okay?
Yeah.
And we'll go about a half an hour, 40 minutes maybe.
Let's jump in. Number one.
Okay, number one. We passed 100,000 completes. So that's kind of a big milestone. It's not 17 million, but we're on our way chasing something else that I think just hit 17 million. Launched in January 17th of 2014. Our volume the last few months has been down on a weekly basis. As you remember, somebody made some changes to the Strengths Center site, and BP10 got taken off the top and kind of put on the bottom. That's okay. People have to work a little harder to find it. But as Jeff and I were emailing a minute ago, it's all about quality, not quantity.
Todd, don't you think, it's really important that I think especially with BP10, that this is an engagement with a coach or with someone else. Just taking it off the street, right?
No, it doesn't happen. Okay. There's got to be a conversation, a program. I'm going to talk about a bunch of them coming down the list here. People, especially entrepreneur type builder types, are not just cruising the internet looking for a self-assessment. No, doesn't happen.
Okay.
Of the 100,000, like 6 were that. The other ones were trying to do it.
Most are prompted. So coaches probably want to go out there and make sure they've got a good bookmark for that site so they know where to direct people to go.
Great. About 60,000 are students. We've had over 25 countries participating, which is kind of cool. What we're going to do now, and I always wanted to wait till 100,000, is we're going to start running some frequencies and kind of looking at prevalence and what is the number one builder talent and what's the most rare and things of that nature. So stay tuned. That'll be coming up. We'll probably write some articles on that. Quick update on our Coaches Insight Reports, our CIRs. Of the 200 coaches, I would estimate about 40 are using them. Okay, cool. There's our protocol. we kept kind of answering the same questions over and over again. So we took the time and wrote down kind of the process. It's a little clunky, to be honest, because it's manual. Christy is doing a great job organizing, and she's got to generate the invoice. Then she actually goes into a database that pulls the report when the invoice is completed. We can email anybody this protocol. But from what we've heard, again, we've been out now for 5 or 6 months with the CIR. Those that are using it are really enjoying it and finding it useful. Haven't had any pushback on, that's not my score, that's not my result. And that goes for the 100,000 as well, which is kind of cool. It's pretty good research. I say that.
Hard to see that report here on YouTube. I will post it. Oh, it's already posted to the Facebook group. I think we've posted the most recent one to the BP10 Facebook group. I'll also post it. I think we have a BP10 group in the Yammer group, and we'll post it there as well. And then Todd, they could email you if they want a copy of it.
Always, right? Always. Yeah. I keep that on my desktop, as does Christy. Number 3, moving along, is what you referenced earlier, Jim. We had a really awesome Builder Talent Tuesday webinar series. They are all archived on the coach's blog, right? The YouTube channel. I'm hearing back from a lot of people that really enjoy them. A lot of our academic friends are using them in the class to really kind of go deep. You and Micah and our guests just nailed it. Every single one. It's like when you go taste wine in Napa Valley, every wine is your new favorite. That was kind of what happened with the Builder Talent Tuesdays. Everyone was my new favorite. They're all really good. Highly recommended. If you haven't seen them, please go, please watch. What would you say about the BTTs?
Yeah, if the easiest way to find them is off our coaches blog. So if you go to coaching.gallup.com, there's a topics section. And if you click on that and scroll down a little bit, it'll say Builder Talent Tuesday. And so that's the easiest way. All 10 of them are listed there. Binge on them. That's 10 hours. If you're on the road, just go one after the other. Micah did a fabulous job on those. And we really did get a lot of positive feedback. So if you haven't gone through, I think it's a requirement if you're going to be in this movement that you actually watch all 10. So get out there.
Yeah, we should make it mandatory.
Yeah, for sure.
We should. We're gonna shut down your account management site if we find that you haven't watched them.
Maybe it's like a check off. Yeah, you have to do that and then check it off and get a badge or something.
Okay. I think we're gonna develop that. That's a good idea. Maybe an idea, and I had this morning, Jim, maybe what we do, and further down the list, I'm going to talk about the change we're bringing to styles, but it might be kind of cool to do 3 super duper special on each of the different styles, which we're no longer calling styles. That's an idea.
Yeah, I think, Todd, when you're ready for that, we had actually had planned the fall for that, but then you guys were making some changes, so we actually held back. So when you're ready, let us know. We'll jump back in and get those done. And
did everybody just notice how Jim kind of totally put that on me?
Micah and I will continue to think through. She's got a special event coming up this winter. As we think about the spring, we'll think about the next version, season 2. So what we're gonna do.
And maybe what we focus on, and again, just ideating, but maybe focus on students, because that's a big movement forward, which kind of leads me to our 4th point. Born to Build is the new book. I've read the book twice. It's a really, really good book. We're thinking Q1, and I can't be more specific than that. With the new book comes a new website. So that's one of the reasons I'm not worried necessarily about the placement of the current BP10 materials. It's all going to get revamped. Obviously, there'll be a code in the book. The book is kind of aimed at students. Now, you could argue we're all students of life, right, Jim? But it's aimed at students. It's applicable across life's journey. But if you were to say what segment, is it kind of focused on? There are 4 proverbial legs to the table. There's the first section, chapters, is really focused on self-awareness. That's where you get into your report, what it means, how you're wired, what your DNA is like. The second is opportunity identification. So we get really practical, and there's exercises and activities throughout all the chapters. So it's really practical, tangible, functional which is not just theoretical. Not that any of our books are just theoretical, but this thing is hands-on. So no, the second leg to the table is really opportunity identification. How do you validate your idea, and some activities around minimum viable products and things of that nature. The third is really how to activate. Okay, now you got your idea, you vetted your idea. What do you do about it? I mean, some true tangible action activation around your opportunity, your idea. And the fourth is if and as you begin to scale, how do you build a team? How do you get the right people, not just as employees, but around you in terms of boards and role models and mentors and coaches and et cetera. Again, and those that have been through class know that we've got some activities around that. It's going to be a lot bigger than the first booklet. We'll include obviously a deep dive on the 10. The preface is Jim Clifton, and it's really aimed at everybody who's a builder. And by the way, we're all builders of some ilk on our little journey. So it's not just, pigeonholed to those that are going to build the multi-billion-dollar companies. It's those that are building nonprofits, those that are building new products and services, or webinar series within 100-year-old polling companies. Everybody's building somewhere on that journey, and so the book's really aimed a lot broader than the first one. Super excited about it. Born to build. We're in peer review now. Takes about 4 or 5 months to get it out there. So Q1, it's going to be good. There'll be again a whole new website. We have a big meeting about it tomorrow. I'm sure be something www.builders.com or Builder 10. We'll get all that out there, of course.
Todd, we should say big, gigantic changes coming to Gallup.com. And one of the reasons we've been set back a little bit on the update to this is a big launch that happens actually this Friday. So anyone listening, you might want to, this weekend, you might want to head out to Gallup.com. Some big changes coming and really setting the stage for what's coming with the new website for this BP10. So exciting things going on, big platform launches. We've just got some great stuff coming up this fall. So make sure you're paying attention. Sometimes our BP10 coaches separate a little bit for a while and wait for some news to come. You probably don't want to be too far separated from us for the next 6 months. I want to pay attention to what's going on in the social circles. Yeah,
kind of one of the only things I think we're not going to change is the name or the price. I'm still battling to keep our $12. We do have some volumes. This is not part of my formal update, but we have been giving some volume discounts to organizations that buy over 1,000 and over 10,000. And I've yet to have one over 100,000, but it's out there.
And how do they go about getting that?
Ultimately contacting me, but the website doesn't automatically do that. But if anybody's buying over 1,000, I'm probably usually in a conversation with them anyway. We can get it down to $10 at 1,000. We get it down to $8 if you buy over 10,000, and you can't add them up over time. It's kind of like one bulk purchase. And then again, have yet to have anybody over 100,000, but it's coming. We're talking to some countries about doing their entire population. That'll come up. I got out of order. So number 5, moving right through, is we have a new class on the dockets. A lot of people have been asking for it. December 6th and 7th, Omaha, Nebraska. December is an awesome place to be, or Omaha is an awesome place to be in December. Kind of do your Christmas shopping. We kind of compete a little bit with New York, but our lines aren't as long. Our traffic's not quite as hectic. So pre-holiday December trip, tell all your friends, anybody that wants to come back. We, of course, have an auditor reviewer tuition. So it's half price, only $1,000. If you want to come back, we've actually had 5 or 6 coaches come back and take it again. So
Todd, is that posted at courses now? So people can go to courses.gallup.com.
Yes.
And sign up for that class.
Yes. It's out there. And I think it's at the bottom of the BP10 page as well. Haven't filled it yet, but people are signing up. So it's a good thing. The next 2 will probably be around the summit next year. So we're not offering a lot of the courses. We're doing much more probably of the customized courses. We go onto a campus. We haven't yet gone into an organization, but we've gone onto a bunch of campuses and actually done the course for that group. Correlations. Can you pull that one up, Jim? I think at least those that have been in class, the last couple of classes I've handed this out, everybody seems to really like it. Sangeeta and her team put this together. We looked at about 400 people who had taken both assessments, and we did some fancy math. I won't get into the exact correlations, but we looked at what was strong, and some of it's intuitive. But they're different assessments. So, if there was a one-to-one correlation, of course, we would need 2 assessments. The instruments are different, but their relationships is really the best way to think about them. So this sheet now is probably available on your coach's page there, but if anybody wants it, they can also email myself or Jim or any of us to get this. Again, the coaches love working with both assessments together, maybe not exactly at the same time. That can get a little overwhelming, but that correlation page has been really popular. Want to make sure everybody has access to that.
Todd, I'm not sure I've actually posted that one yet to the BP10 site. So I'll post those two together. The CIR and this will post together to both the Yammer and to the Facebook group.
Yeah, super cool. Again, the last 50 coaches who kind of came through at the summit, I know I handed them copies, but I don't think I got it to some of our previous coaches.
And based on N of 400, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Give or take.
Still pretty small. And would you give the advice that, before people begin to really start drawing a lot of conclusions, we have to realize that this is, when we think of StrengthsFinder, we think of millions, right? And in the end on this is still pretty limited. So
it's pretty limited, but
I want to be careful with
it's
that.
More than coincidental.
Yeah, I think it's a great start. I think it's a really good start. I get this question all the time on the strength side. And especially as I'm talking to people who've been to the course or whatever, are there correlations? And we say yes, but we still have data on this.
Yeah.
We still got some time to go. So I just would warn not to draw any super strong or scientific conclusions from it.
It's all about the conversation, and that goes for the whole thing. The scores, I get some people that are so hung up on, 66 versus 67, and they're kind of losing sight of what it's all about when you get stuck between that.
Yes.
The only time 1 point counts is when you get caught speeding 20 miles an hour versus 19. Let's not go there. Okay, number 7. We got some kind of neat upcoming events. I thought I'd share just a couple that are happening here in Nebraska. Again, getting our coaches' minds thinking. Nebraska Extension is having their annual conference coming up in December. So 300 of our extension and, of course, land-based universities all have extension organizations taking their efforts into the counties, into the communities. BP10 is the focus. So everybody's going to show up with the results, and we're going to do some exercises and training on how they take BP10 back into their spheres of influence. They came and listened to Heather Wright and I talk about this when it was Entrepreneurial StrengthsFinder about 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Our friends in Manhattan, Kansas at K-State, they did a BP10 version where Glenn Phelps and Val McPherson went down. This group is really excited about taking BP10 across the state, and we're excited about it as well. Cool. DECA. DECA, who I know a lot of folks are familiar with, probably were part of DECA in high school. The Central Region, which is 11 states, and there are about 1,200 DECA kids in that cohort. They're all being offered BP10. They won't all take it, but the top 40 or the first come, first serve 40 will do a 2-hour workshop at Gallup during the DECA Central DECA Leadership Conference. It's over at the Hilton, but they'll come over here and do some exercises. That'll be cool. We're seeing more and more DECA chapters engage with BP10, which we love. YASILI, and that is an acronym, and I can't think of what it's for. Youth from Southeast Asia Leadership Institute, maybe. 4th year running, they bring the absolute sharpest. The State Department selects. State Department is really good at selection. And these are between 18 and 22-year-old students. They literally fly them to Omaha for 5 weeks. And this is the 4th year we've done it. They do a really deep CliftonStrengths full 34 and BP10, and then they'll come onto our campus for a full day. And Heather Wright, Mark Reckmeyer, and I, and a couple others will host them. One of the best parts of the day is their certification on behavioral economic leadership. And Scott Wright has to read their names. And again, these are visitors from Thailand and Vietnam and Suriname. And I mean, some really, really local names. And it's awesome. There's like 17 letters in a row, and Scott Wright's up there pronouncing them. He does a great job. So yeah, Silly's back for the fourth cohort. Number 8 on our list of updates, we're moving right along, are just some builder updates. We've all talked about these before. Mexico City's on its 5th cohort. We're on year number 5, where we test. I think this year we're doing 30,000. We've gone between 15 and 30,000. Great kids across Mexico City school system. We have contests and applications, and ultimately 6 of them. And the reason it's 6 is there are 6 districts. So a winner from each district gets a passport and goes to Washington, D.C. Jim Clifton has become an angel investor in some of their businesses. It is a super famous project that's starting to get real visibility across Mexico, the Builder Project. And despite the budgetary pressure, every government's got it, quite honestly, especially Mexico of late, they keep funding this, which I think shows some pretty important vision. We did our first Builder Project in Omaha. Some of you might have known or heard about that, but we laid the assessment across 1,000 or so kids, had an application, identified 11, brought them onto the Gallup campus for a month and taught them how to build a company. They built a t-shirt company, had a big celebration. Jim, you were there. We had 300 plus people from across the community. And literally I had venture capitalists in the front row writing down their names. Now they're not angel ready, but the concept was great. Had some of the universities come ask if they could showcase their university program to the builders. So all the right things that are supposed to happen are happening. We're going to do that project in Omaha for 10 years. Compliments of the Clifton Family Foundation and Gallup Strengths Lab. And I've already got teachers and principals calling and emailing saying, how do I get my kids involved? So whereas we looked at 1,000 this last year, we'll probably look at 4,000 or 5,000 again to narrow it down and have them onto campus. It was great fun having these builders, and they're building companies. So it's like real. We've done the same thing in DC 3 times. So we're getting pretty good at what the curriculum looks like on having students in this internship, this builder internship. Super advanced conversations about doing it in Lincoln, Nebraska. I'll be down there again next week. We've got a great partner in Rich Clausen at Prosper Lincoln. He's got the funding kind of pulled together. They're going to give the assessment to 3,500 kids. They're going to invite the top 10%, so 350, and their families to a half-day workshop of celebration at the either Innovation Campus CBA. And then the top percent, so maybe 30, 35, will have a chance to do the month-long internship, the Build a Company internship. That'll be done through the CBA at University of Lincoln. Super cool. We've got really advanced conversations across the state of Nebraska. We're going to look at really 3 builder buckets. Is that a word? Builder buckets? BBs. The high school version, which we just talked about, the college version, which we're on year 3. Mark Pogue runs that at UNL, and then companies. So we're going to train coaches on how to take BB10 into actual companies that want and have the talent to grow. And then we're going to have events and programming for all 3. So, and actually the college kids are kind of pivotal between the high schools where they'll do both recruiting and coaching, and then the companies where they'll take Q12 strengths and BB10 into the companies, which we did last year. So we've been doing it kind of piecemeal, but now we're trying to stitch it all together and have a state builder initiative for, all 3 different critically important segments. We're doing the exact same thing in Medellin, Colombia, with the Inter-American Development Bank. It's within days of being signed. And we're doing the same thing for women in and across Mexico. A couple 15,000 women will go through that initiative. So a lot of builder initiatives are up and running. You know, a year ago they were much more in concept, but it's fun to watch them actually happen. Number 8. I wrote this down. I'm doing pretty good on time too. I hope we've got some questions.
I thought we did 8. Wasn't that 8? Or are you on number 9?
That I'm on number 9.
All right.
Sorry.
No,
okay.
I'm keeping. I just want to know. I'm keeping.
We can
track.
edit that out, Roy.
I'm keeping track of you.
All right, 9. Number 9 is a big one, and I know Jeff's on, and this is they do some really great coaching in Oklahoma City around styles. So we're taking styles away. Styles are going to become more focused on roles. Okay. And here are the 3 new roles. If we had a drum roll, okay. Alpha Rainmaker. Jim Clifton added the word alpha. Sangeeta calls it just the Rainmaker, the Conductor, and the Expert. The book will talk about these extensively. Think of them as clusters. Think of them as, it was factor analysis that bunched them into themes. The talents that align to Rainmaker is profit, confidence, and selling. Okay, hopefully those kind of intuitively make some sense. The Conductor is the delegator. Risk falls in the Conductor. Independence and determination. So these are not exactly aligned to activator, relational, strategic. These are new things. There was new analysis and all kinds of new clustering of these themes. The Expert, of course, is the final 3 of disruption, disruptor, knowledge, and relationship. Now, I'm 99% sure what's going to happen when we make this change to the actual assessment and the website is anybody who's taking the assessment can go back into their report and it will update this section. That's kind of what happened when we changed reports. Remember, a couple of years ago, we had a big report change. I'm almost 99% sure that same thing will happen this time. So nobody should be taking the assessment again. We'll have tons of communication. Again, it's going to be in alignment with the new website and the new book. But we're super excited about, team building and focusing more on a role. The Rainmaker, the get it done scaler of the Conductor. And of course, all too often and historically, the Expert is the inventor, the innovator, the ideator. In our world, our experts were George Gallup and Don Clifton, but our Rainmakers maybe more of the Jim Cliftons and the Conductors or the Jane Millers and Jim Kriegers, and when they all work in unison, good things happen. So super excited about those new changes. I'm going to wait for questions. And the last update is maybe half professional, half personal, but many of Jim, I'm doing a lot of BP10 training in prisons, and it's been really interesting. They can't get on the internet, but it's been really interesting. Of course, a lot of our incarcerated across the country are extremely entrepreneurial. They just aimed it the wrong way. So as we say, a talent is a recurring pattern of thought or behavior that can be productively applied. I really hammer the word productively, but they're not allowed on the internet in most cases, unless it's we're working in a post-release environment. But we're taking BP10 deeply across our incarcerated men and women here in Nebraska, and they really, really love it. Nobody's really ever talked to them about their strengths before. So I'm always happy to talk, or if you're in the Nebraska area, to recruit you. Ronnie Miller and I were in yesterday. Jim couldn't make it, but I know you're going to come in the future. Jacqueline Robinson's getting very involved in this work in California, as is Kristen Meek on the East Coast. So they're Gallup folks doing good work out there. Those, Jim, are my 10 updates.
Okay.
And I'm happy to, yeah.
A couple questions for you, and I'll maybe take them out of order, but Jeff says style's still super important. I'm glad they're still going to be used. So I'm a little confused. Are styles staying and you're adding these roles, or are styles going away?
Styles are going away. Styles are kind of how something happens, right? And Jeff is super expert on all this. These are more role focused. And again, some of it's semantics, but a rainmaker, might have been, it was probably the activator in general concept, but they're not straight one-to-one swaps. It's just new.
Okay. And those will be pulled from the report going forward at some point, and these new roles will be
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Activators, strategic, and I think relational or relationship, those are going away. These are much more functional, role specific clusters.
Yeah. And I imagine, Jeff, with some of the work that you're doing, and now with as we talk about this, the correlation sheet, those are still going to come up. And there's probably some terms as a coach you could be using as you correlate the two between StrengthsFinder and BP10. And so you could still continue to use that framework. It just won't be on the report. So good clarification. What about translations, Todd? As we think about the future, I imagine 100,000, we're going to need a few more to be able to do the translations, but what are your thoughts?
Well, that is part of the discussion we're having around with our book publishers. We obviously, this is a global book. Whereas the first book might've been focused a little heavily on the US economy, this is much more global in nature. So, Spanish will quickly come to our world as we dismantle the Strength Center as we know it today, because today we have BP10 available in 9 languages, all at the bottom of the, and it's actually only the assessment and the report. It's not all the articles and things of that nature. Our book publishers will help lead us. I will push very hard for Spanish and Portuguese, partially because that's a part of the world I spend a lot of time in. Of course, simplified Chinese will be quick to the top of the list. German, don't have dates on any of that. Translations are tricky because, and as we've all been together now, maybe for a couple of years, a lot of the coaches, you don't want to spend a lot of time and energy on translating until you've locked things down. I just talked about a pretty major change with Styles. That I don't foresee a lot of new changes coming out. I probably say that every update, but I think we're really close to locking this down, and then we can roll across languages.
Okay, sounds good. We had a question from some Jeff. How are you seeing businesses using assessments in their own organization? So, what's going on inside organizations?
I'm not seeing, and I think I might be okay with this. I'm not seeing a lot of selection work. Definitely more team building. Team awareness, blind spot prevention, the team building pieces. I don't always see the way it's being used. I've been, as most of you know, I've been super involved in kind of the builder initiatives. So I know all the nuts and bolts of those, but I'll see major corporations, buy 5 or 10 at a time. So something's happening there. It's a retreat. It's, we do have a large construction company that's using it extensively in their C-suite. They actually use the CIRs. So I see bits and pieces, but Jeff, you're probably better off answering that, knowing how you and Patty and Amy work in that part of the world.
Terry had asked the question, as the BP10 continues to build, what has been most surprising or unexpected? That's a question for you, Todd.
Wow. Again, out of 100,000 completes, and maybe it just hasn't gotten to me, I even had one person challenge the results. And I think we see a little of that on our strength side of the house too. It's, and I qualitatively, randomly talk to people throughout, and I'll ask them, is that you? Did we get you? Did we, is your number one really your number one, and your 10 really your number 10? And it's just really wonderfully surprising. They always say yes. It's a good assessment. We're still playing with the business model, and we're still figuring out, how to scale it. I've been real open about that. But in terms of the science, the assessment, and I think now the 2 forms of reporting, really, really happy with those. Also, and this might change, but I haven't seen any gaming. There's always gaming within all assessments. Now that might change as more incentive activities occur, like these builder projects. If mom and dad are really excited to get Sally into the internship, are they going to help Sally with the assessment? I hope not, because you're not doing Sally any favors. And we'll find out, because of course it's never just the score. There's always an application. Think getting into college, everybody's got to take the standardized test, but it's increasingly not the main indicator. But I've seen very little gaming. Those are 2 surprises.
Jeff asks, with the report changes, will action items still be the same?
At the present time, yes.
Okay.
We're not going to change the action items.
All right. Ricardo's asking. Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
No.
Ricardo's asking, Todd, can you elaborate a little bit on the work being done in Columbia?
Yeah. I'm peripherally involved. Emily and Joe Daly are kind of running it, but our partner is the Inter-American Development Bank, and we're looking at how to take kind of everything we've learned from the builder initiatives in Mexico, in Nebraska, and bring them to Medellin. Proposals have been submitted. We're jousting a little bit on the budgets, but it looks really good that we'll have a very large, impactful builder focus on the students. It's focused on students of Medellin. And Ricardo, if and when we get down to the nuts and bolts of staffing and what training looks like, I'll certainly track you down. And Ricardo, of course, and Fernando in Bogota. I don't think he's on, but I need to give him a briefing.
Big group today out there in the chat room, which is nice. Good to see for everyone jumping in here for the update. Todd, I put a last call in the chat room. Any other thoughts or questions on your side before we wrap it?
Oh, I hope I say this every time, but I just appreciate our coaches so much, and they're doing such incredible work with this important science. I mean, the identifying and developing and engaging the builders is a really important part of economic development, of well-being ultimately. And so hopefully the coaches know I'm around, unless I'm in prison, I'm around at all times to hopefully be helpful or to talk about any aspect. If it gets too scientific, I know who to ask, or too operational, I know who to ask. But always here to help. And again, just appreciate like crazy all the really cool things the coaches are doing. We're relaunching. Okay. We're not going to rename, but we're going to relaunch around the new book. So we haven't been writing a lot of articles. We haven't done a lot of even updates, where we just kind of let the Entrepreneurial Strengths Finder just kind of quietly, I'm pointing at the river, float down. And we're going to really now relaunch around this book. Beginning of next year, there will be a lot more activity around BP10. Good. So stay tuned for that.
Todd, one more question. Jeff asked, with the students that took the BP10, our program, our summer program, did you have many excited to know they showed talent for entrepreneurship?
Absolutely. They, I would say we had 11, so not a huge cohort, but we had 11 on campus for a month. I'd say at least 6 or 7 of them have companies, have started companies, have tremendous juice. Couple freak level talents. They loved it when I called them freaks, by the way. That even came up in the final show. We got a lot of really cool feedback from a few of their parents. I'm not going to use their real names. So Sally and Johnny, were kind of outliers, spent a lot of time in their video games, weren't really engaged here and there, but had some really cool feedback from their parents around helping identify their very special, very unique. Because when you're in the presence of extreme builder talent, it's exhausting. In That was cool.
Well, and I had one already try to pitch to me. So
oh yeah, right. Yeah, they're
excited.
walking the halls every now and then. I see them walking the halls. I've had them call our governor, telling him what a great I mean, what kind of a high school kid picks up the phone, calls the governor? You know, they're really energetic. It'll be fun to track them over the years to see what they do, because they'll do something important. Yeah,
for sure. Amy had asked, we covered this early, but will there be more training for coaches around the country and then around the world? Can you just quick, again, everything's listed at courses.gallup.com, but Todd, just cover that again real quick.
I am lobbying and pushing really hard to what we call lock down the curriculum. That means we can globalize the course. We get a lot of inquiries from Western Europe and India specifically. Have had a lot of inquiries from Brazil and Mexico about getting the course there. It's the same thing about translation, you know, and Dean Jones is the one who locks down the curriculum. But when it can be locked down, then you can translate the materials and train the trainers and scale the globe. There's probably going to be some iterations. We've got a new book. We've got, you know, new things coming out that need to work themselves into the class. So evidenced by the styles, you know, we have a big section in the training about styles. Well, and then I'll say it's ready, and they'll say, we'll see. Long-winded way of saying, I really don't think we'll do non-US courses until end of 18 at the earliest. I'm always pushing for it. Obviously, big clients or big client opportunities can make us move a lot faster. I've got a big one in Brazil that if it would turn, we'd have Portuguese ready really fast.
We do have a class coming up in December. Maybe we do the last quarterly update for the year around that class.
Okay, cool. Yeah, December 6th and 7th in Omaha, Nebraska.
That might be a good idea.
Toast.
Yeah. No, good. Well, good. So Amy's asking, how can we be updated for those of us who have been through the course already? What are the channels, Todd, for folks to stay updated?
I love our recurring calls that we'd have with, if I'm thinking about the right Amy, it's with Jeff and Patty. We can absolutely do those. We're going to do these webinars maybe quarterly as we kind of start relaunching. So we'll get a couple, 3 or 4 of these done next year. We're going to have new Builder Talent Tuesdays. Are always opportunities to get material if and as we relaunch those. The website, the new website. I'm continually amazed at people calling, asking me to send them or email them technical reports. And I always gently and lovingly say, it's right there on the website, but I'll happily send it again. That's not Amy, Jeff, or Patty, but others that,
it's just a good reminder. I'll say we have a dedicated both Facebook and then inside our Yammer group.
Yeah, I don't use it.
And so contact me if Jim_Collison@gallup.com. If you need access to any of those groups, let me know.
Yeah,
get you in there. I post everything that we have going on through those groups. You have to pay attention to that, but it is one of those things that we don't have a lot of updates, so I know that's hard. Todd will email the group from time to time too, right?
Yep. I'm going to email this out to all the graduates, BCC folks, so they don't get solicited. But
okay,
sounds good. Well, thank you all
for
joining. We went about 45 minutes. Wow, that's exactly what I was hoping for.
Really good.
Sorry, I wasn't very funny today, Jim.
No,
I'll work harder. I'll work harder next time.
It's been a while. It's you want to take
a little rusty.
Like that first workout. You don't want to just crush it on the first workout.
Okay. I promise better, deeper, more sophisticated humor in future.
I like it.
Shows. Okay, cool.
I like it. We'll remind everyone to take full advantage of all the resources we have available for them. Todd mentioned it, but GallupStrengthsCenter.com. Again, the link for the BP10 work at the very bottom of the page. Just search for it down there. You'll find it.
Got to really work.
It's a little bit. I'd bookmark it if I were you. And send us your questions or comments. We'd love to have those. Send us to them. Send those to us, coaching@gallup.com. You can also catch the recorded audio and video of this program as well as all the past ones. And we do have special on the audio side. We include this with our Call to Coach programs, but we do have a special playlist on YouTube, and we do have, I don't have an audio playlist, but YouTube would be the right way to do it. All the resources available on our coaches blog, coaching.gallup.com. Don't forget, if you're interested in becoming a Gallup Certified Strengths Coach or BP10 training, that's available to you. It's on our coaches page out on our courses site. Go to courses.gallup.com. If you found this helpful, we'd ask that you'd share it. In this one in particular, let those folks around you know that it is out there and available for them. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.